Good morning, Panda friends. This morning we're going to make a special muffin recipe that you can do for Mother's Day with your mommies at home. If you look in the description underneath this video, you'll see all the ingredients that you need and the instructions, but we're also going to walk through it today. I have everything laid out, but I'll tell you what they are as we go along. The first thing you'll need are 2 bananas. You're going to peel those bananas and put them right inside of your bowl. Oops. Oops. Not the peel. Not the peel. That may not taste very yummy. You can use a whisk or a spoon or a fork or some kind of meat grinder. I have this fancy little tool right here, and all you're going to do is just mash up those bananas. Get them good and mushy. It's best if your bananas are a little ripe. They mush a lot better. These ones were probably not as ripe, so they're not as mushy, but that's okay. I like a little bit of banana chunk in mine. Then you're going to measure out and you're going to add in a 3/4 cup of milk. You can use any kind of milk you like. I prefer to use almond milk. It adds a little bit extra nice flavor to it. But it's up to you and your family and what you like. And then you're going to add an egg, 1 egg. And you're going to add, I believe it is 3 tablespoons of oil. So I have my tablespoon here and I'm going to count. You can help pour and count as well. 1, 2, 3. This is a great measurement activity for at home, as well as fine motor skills of pouring, measuring and pouring. All right, after you have those 3 ingredients in there, you're just going to mix it up a little bit to get rid of that egg. Make sure that egg is nice and mixed up in there. Use your whisk. That's what this is. I love these tools. Once that's good and mixed, you can set it aside. You're going to get your Fiber One cereal, and you're going to measure out 1. I have my measuring tool right here. Measure out 1 cup. This adds a nice flavor to the muffins as well as some extra fiber. All right, you're going to stick that inside of a baggie. And here comes another fun part. While it's inside, make sure Mommy and Daddy help you close it all the way. Once it's inside, you can take a cookie rolling pin or a mallet if you have one, and you just press and smush. I like the rolling pin better because it smushes it a little bit better without breaking the bag and sending the cereal everywhere. Once that's good and smushed in there, you're going to bring your egg and your banana milk mixture back, and you're going to pour your cereal inside the mixture. Give it a good little stir so that the Fiber One cereal is all in there. Okay, you want it completely submerged because that's going to sit while you make the next part. So you're going to put that aside, and you're going to let that Fiber One cereal soak inside of your banana mixture. While that is soaking, you're going to get another bowl. And if you have one, it's good to have a sifter you're going to sift in your dry ingredients. The reason why I use the sifter is sometimes like my baking powder or my flour might be a little clumpy, and when it's a little clumpy, you can taste it in the muffin at the end. So sifting, putting it through these nice little small holes will help with that. All right, so you're gonna use check my ingredients list, 1 1/4 cup of flour. I have this big thing of flour here. So I'm gonna measure with my measuring tools. 1 cup, 1 cup, and I still need 1/4 cup, so I'm going to change my measuring tools, and I'm going to go to 1/4 cup. Just want it leveled on top. I'm going to put that in, and then my recipe says that I need 3 teaspoons of baking powder. So let's see, I have my teaspoon here, and I have my baking powder here. There's 1, 2, and 3. There's my 3 teaspoons of baking powder. And then it says I need 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. So I'm going to use an even smaller measuring tool to do my nutmeg. And I'm going to add that in on top. And it says I need 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. So I have my cinnamon here. I actually like to add a little bit more cinnamon because I like the flavor of it. So you can do that if you feel like you would like to have a little extra. I add just a little bit extra. And then my recipe says I need 1 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So I have my salt from my shaker here, and I've got my little measuring tool again. And I'm going to measure out 1 1/4 teaspoon. And then it says I need 1/2 cup of sugar, and I already measured that out because my sugar's in a bigger container. So I'm going to add that to it. And that just kind of goes all the way through. Then I'm going to use my spoon, or if you have a spatula, you can use that. You can also use your hand. It's fun to sift like this if you'd like to. Sometimes I use a spoon or a spatula and I just run it around so that I make sure I get everything. I just push it through those tiny little holes so it breaks up any clumps that are in there. A little bit of banana on there, it's okay. Okay, there's all my dry ingredients, friends. Now, I'm going to add back the banana mixture that we had. Remember this? Now it's all soaking and the cereal is getting a little mushy, so I'm going to add that to my dry ingredients. And we're going to give that a good stir with our spoon. Your whisk may work for this, but it also may get a lot of it clumped up inside of it, so I tend to just use my spoon. Look at that, friends. Isn't that beautiful? This is a yummy little snack or breakfast. They're really good when they're really warm. If you make a lot and you have some extra for the next day, putting them in the microwave for 10 seconds is really good. We're gonna add some raisins to ours. Last week when I made these, I didn't have any raisins, and so my daughter and I decided to use chocolate chips, and they worked really well. My daughter really enjoyed the ones that had chocolate chips in them. I don't think I got any of the chocolate chip ones. I think she ate them all. once your mixture is good and mixed up, you got all of that dry ingredients mixed up in there, you can add whatever kind of dried fruit you like. Sometimes I use raisins, sometimes I use dried cranberries or dried cherries. Sometimes instead of bananas, I use pumpkin. That's really good too. So I just take a couple handfuls, and I put the raisins inside my mixture. And this is the very last step because we don't want them to get smushed or broken inside. All right, so we're gonna mix those in now. Raisins are going in. And the final step, friends, is to put it inside your muffin tins. You can do it without any muffin liners. I just chose to spray mine today. Sometimes I use muffin liners. It just depends on who they're for. If they're for just my family, I don't use the muffin liners. If I'm gonna give them to friends, then I use the muffin liners. So then you just fill them up about 3/4 of the way full inside your muffin tins. And my oven was already preheated for 400. Yep, I did do 400. That might be a little bit more than 3/4. I don't mind the really big muffins. I don't mind them when they kind of spew over a little bit. They're not really going to get real huge unless you really put them over. They work well for the mini muffin tins as well. It's a really good recipe that just kind of goes all around. Nice little fiber treat. Or bananas, or pumpkin. I haven't used anything else besides bananas or pumpkin, so if you ever try this recipe and you use something else, I'd like to hear about it. Oopsie. I'm very messy when it comes to cooking, but I clean up after myself very, very well. Okay. All right, friends, these are gonna go in the oven, and we will see them when they're done. It takes about 20 minutes or so to cook them, so make sure you set your timer on there, and we'll see you when they're all done. All right, friends, our muffins are all done. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I'm ready to enjoy mine. Hope you enjoy yours. Happy Mother's Day.